It didn't make headlines at the moment, but the turning point in the group's career probably came during the late 50s in Pittsburgh. Bob Gaudio remembers the first time he met Frankie Valli.
We did a TV show together. He was with a group called the Four Lovers, and I was with my first group, which was the Royal Teens. And we just kind of struck up conversation. And then I left the Royal Teens about 2 years later, and we ran into each other again and started the Four Seasons.
Names. Frankie Costelluccio has known many. Ladies and gentlemen, the special of the week proudly presents Frankie Valli and the Romans.
Como si bella, you are so very beautiful, you are so very wonderful.
And now our special guests, the Four Lovers.
Girl in my dream, girl in my dream, where are you? Girl in my dream, I'm so blue, how I yearn, how I long for you.
Actually, they still were the Four Lovers when Bob Gaudio joined them. It wasn't until later they changed to the Four Seasons while auditioning for a job at a nightclub by that name. They didn't get the gig, but the name stuck and somehow seemed to mark the beginning of new directions. As Frankie describes it, things began to come together.
We had a lot of inner workings in the group, a lot of talented people. People like Bob Gaudio and Bob Crew, who had been producing a lot of hit records in the 50s. He's producing records like the Freddie Cannon records and the Rays, Danny and the Juniors, and that whole Philadelphia scene for a while was Bob Crew's Cameo Parkway or Swan Records.
Working with Bob Crew was an important step too. Crew had experience in making hits, but it didn't pay off right away. As Bob Gaudio reports, the magic was somewhat slow in coming.
We did some background studio work. We kind of did a lot of lounge work. We did some stuff with Bob Crew, backing a lot of records and vocally and instrumentally. And about 2 years of working in the background before we came to the surface with Sherry. We had one record out before Sherry called Bermuda, and that was a zip.
She went sailing on the coral sea, started wonder, my darling indeed.
The success of the Four Seasons came mostly with material generated from within. Exotic subjects like Bermuda didn't work for Frankie Valli. His special gift is in telling stories about his kind of people.
Records like Dawn and Walk Like a Man and Let's Hang On were very real situations in the sense that they were things that people related to, that they had gone through in their lives.
There ain't no good in our goodbye. True love takes a lot of trying. Oh, I'm crying.
Let's hang on to what we got. Don't let no good we got a lot. Got a lot of love between us. Hang on, hang on, hang on. What we got.
For several years after meeting up with Bob Crew, the Four Seasons were solely used as background singers and musicians, with the exception of the unsuccessful record Bermuda. They had to rely on their nightclub work to keep going. It was as an entertainer that Frankie Valli began to develop the full use of his incredible voice. It's funny how a wide variety of different factors come together all at once. Around the time that Bob Gaudio was writing Sherry, Bob Crew happened to catch the Four Seasons act at a Jersey nightclub. Frankie was doing an imitation of an old, high-voiced female entertainer named Rose Murphy. Now, Crew suggested they use that high voice on their next record, which turned out to be Sherry. The record sold 180,000 copies the first day and set in motion the Four Seasons formula. Success equals Bob Crew producing and helping with writing, plus Bob Gaudio writing, plus Frankie Valli's voice.
I've always had it. It's something that I just had naturally. And the people who were writing material for me or for the group in that period of time were taking advantage of the fact that I had more than a 3-octave range. And they wrote specifically to use it and utilize.
Frankie can sing even higher than what we're used to from the Four Seasons. They once had a hit record with a Bob Dylan song, which was so unusual, they released it under another name, The Wonder Who.
Frankie's always had that strange voice. We've used it on a couple of things in some of the older albums. I don't remember exactly how it went down, other than we knew we had a super track, and the arrangement was fabulous. We just knew it was there. But vocally, it was, I don't know, a little too low, or something was wrong, and the lead, when he put it on, didn't quite sound exciting enough, and he started clowning around with the high voice. And it started working. It started sounding really good, so we went through with it and finished the record that way, and convinced Phillips at the time to, hey, what's the difference? Let's give it a shot. We've got nothing to lose. And the station in Atlantic City did an interview, and we happened to have an acetate of it, and he said, hey, I would really like to put the interview on and play the record and just ask what's going on with the record. And we said, okay, great, but, don't get us into any trouble. I mean, one time, because it's not a released piece of product, and Phillips will have a lawsuit, and so on and so forth. And as it turned out, he played it every hour on the hour for like 2 weeks, and it became #1 at the station in requests, and the company was forced to put it out, and it went top 10.
In this day of high-priced concert tours and packed auditoriums, it's interesting to note that Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, by whatever name, have been on the road for well over 20 years. The skill of Frankie Valli in front of a live audience is the key to his great success today.
I love what I do. And performing is as much, if not the most important part of what I do, as making the records and caring about the audiences. I came from that other side of the track. The larger majority of the world comes from that same side. These are the people you're appealing to.
You only have to think a moment to realize the Four Seasons have had their ups and downs, both before and after success. Frankie's dynamic impact as a performer is what has kept him hanging in there. Hit records or not, he and the Four Seasons can always earn a living.
The only thing that you can actually rely on in this business is that you go out and do a great show and people come in and see that show. And if the show is great, the next time you come back, they will be there again.
During one of those hitless periods, the group signed with Motown Records. It was a bad move for Motown and the Four Seasons. Nothing seemed to work out, and the period was a total drain on the Seasons' career. Well, almost, except for one record.
It was originally recorded for Motown Records, where we spent about 2.5 years in obscurity. Very few people even knew we were with the company. It was one of the things that they weren't terribly fond of. When we left, we bought back the track.
Motown never released it, but Private Stock, the new label, sure did.
I thought it was a hit song the day the song was shown to me. And when we recorded it, I said, this is a hit song. It's got to be a hit song. It's such a great song. It's the kind of a song that will become a standard.
The name of the song was My Eyes Adored You. It was written by Bob Crew and a young man named Kenny Nolan. It rescued the name of Frankie Valli from those 2.5 years of obscurity, and it showed again the truth of Frankie's philosophy. You talk to the people you know.
I'm sure that every guy that was really hung up on a girl would have liked to be so poetic as